Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. The Fat Lad Neil Pickup with you here in the mother fluffing house. Now, for those of you just joining the show, don't think that you've just walked into a professional shampoo advertisement. The simple fact of the matter is that one of my best mates of all time from the sport of arm wrestling, the master, Pascal Girard, has joined me for a show. Dude, you're looking sexy. What's going down in Switzerland?
Yeah, sexy is the word, I'm getting older anyway, So somebody would say, yeah, something like 400 million of years. I don't know what is 400 million of years, something like, not very young. So situation here is like everywhere else, get a bad time with the virus, so no much training, no much sport, working is going down too, so he's alive.
Now, Pascal, for those of you who don't know, Pascal is a professional tattoo artist. I can only imagine, Pascal, that being a tattoo artist must have been hit really, really hard by the virus, because I'm assuming that people won't have been legally allowed to come and get a tattoo done. Is that right, or have you had some work?
Yeah, the problem that, we have most of the work, starting from, I would say, February to May, it's really the high season for tattooing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have got the locking down. So we're not able to work, all the shops are closed, so what's a bad time for us?
Yeah.
All past year, So now work is a bit better, but was hot spring, hot summer too, so now going to see what's going on.
So Pascal, I know that you're not someone that tunes into, you don't spend a lot of time on social media, and I know that you haven't seen any of these shows before. I mean, firstly, what the are you thinking? You need to be getting on here and checking out the shows, dude. This is some good stuff, man. You need to get on here, get your when you got someone in there, when you got a fine young lady having an enormous back piece done, you say, look, love, I'm just going to show you something. My fat friend from England got a YouTube channel. It's really good. We're going to put it on right now. And then you just put it on in front of her and she'll think, well, number one, you're lying. This is shit. But at least you'll be up to date on all your arm wrestling facts. How's that sound?
Yeah, I was talking arm wrestling, something like back from 1988. So something like
1988?
Yeah, 32 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long time, and I can say everything were very different than how it looks now. So
yeah.
Somebody would say it was a good time, but I don't think there is a good or better time. I think the thing is that everything are evolving, Sometimes in the good direction, sometimes in the wrong direction, but nothing is, staying freezing somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question, Pascal. What was your how did you get involved with arm wrestling, with sport generally? Because I know from our conversations that you had a pretty extensive background in sport. Arm wrestling, as far as I'm aware, was not your first love in sport. You did combat sports, various strength sports. Do you mind giving us a bit of background on sort of what you did prior to getting into arm wrestling?
Yeah, I was playing, with karate, something when I was 12 years old, and, I was doing it about 2 years, and I moved to Brazilian judo, and I don't kind of,
Why did you get into combat sports, Pascal? Did you have any brothers or sisters that were into that, or your father, mother? What was the situation?
No, nobody at all. It was, like when you get in friends, when you get young, you want to try to do something. And you want, trying to be somebody. You really want to try to get into the breed, So karate was very interesting because at that time it was very traditional karate. So it was more like very hard for the head more than the physics, When you're 12 years old, something can help you for the future.
Of course, yeah. So it was difficult to sort of get that discipline. What style of karate did you do, mate? Was it Shotokan, Shorin-ryu? What were you doing?
Well, this was Shotokan,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then, as it was not really competition, I moved back to Yuzakan Budo, 2 years later. So it's kind of different martial arts. It's a bit more complete than karate traditional, Then I went to kickboxing for 4 or 5 years. I've got 2 national titles. Then I moved to Powerlifting, when I was 18, I get the deadlift European junior record. I was pulling something like 200 kilos. Then I torn my back, so I have to stop with it. And at the same time, I saw some advertising about arm wrestling. And, at that time was no internet, was nothing else. So I just saw it in a magazine. So there was a number there. So I called her, and the guy said me, let's come 2 weeks. We have a little championship. So I went there, and I met Claudio Alessi, who was the guy everything in Switzerland at the beginning. He was even European president for 2 years, I think 2 years, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then first competition, never did anything. So I finished second on the overall class, Then he says, there is the national running in October. If you want to come, no problem. So I went there. I won my 80 kilo class. And then I've been, selection for to go to the Worlds. It was first time going Sweden, Eskilstuna. Yeah, this is all how I started.
Now, that's weird as hell. So your first World Championships was the same year as mine, 1988. And I was only a puppy. I never even saw you there. Wow. Because let's be honest, mate, you're a pretty noticeable guy. And Richard Lupkus was there in Eskilstuna. Yeah. I still have a photograph with Richard Lupkus from there.
And at that time, he got some hair, So.
Yes, he did. He looked real different. Looked in great shape.
And everybody were say, wow, what a monster, Mm-hmm. Because in Switzerland, we didn't have anything in arm wrestling. We just started, So we didn't know at all, And when we went there, we were really surprised because it was sit down, So, oh my God, I'm doing sit down because we were getting, the table, everything from the over the top and the stand up at that time. So
mm-hmm.
We didn't know that the WAF were, they were running sit down and wrestling championships.
Well, it's funny because at that time it used to rotate, didn't it? It was one year sit down, then the next year stand up.
No.
Then the next year, I think that was from 99 forward, wasn't it?
No, that time was every year sit down.
Oh, okay.
The first time they ever did the stand up was in 1992 in Geneva. Then they did 93 one more time sit down.
Yep,
and 94 stand up. Yeah, and then stand up in Sweden, and from that years, every year stand up.
Now, whoa, sweet child of mine. I'm going to wind you back a little bit here, because being the type of character you are, Pascal, you sort of glossed over the fact that as a kickboxer, you had 2 national titles, and we're going to come back and look at that specifically, and that as a powerlifter, you had the national or world junior record in deadlift.
No, European.
European. Okay, so you have the European junior record in deadlift. So, first of all, kickboxing. There's been some great kickboxers and a great pedigree of kickboxing from Switzerland. Andy Hug was maybe the most famous, I'm not sure.
He was very, very cool. But at that time, what we were doing was not fully kickboxing as we do it now. It was more like full contact,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Andy Hug was a mega star.
Didn't Andy Hug win he won the K1, didn't he?
Yeah,
K1 Grand Prix. Yeah. And he had he had the old axe kick. I remember he used to knock people off with an axe kick.
Deadly axe kick, yeah.
Amazing stuff. So, when you got into kickboxing, mate, it's fair to say that you were no bum. You were a hell of a kickboxer. I mean, why did you walk away from kickboxing? What was the reason why you would leave? You're a national champion.
The main problem, that was I was very young. I was about 16, and I did not have any means. I did not have any car or whatever. So we had to go train something like 100 kilometers from home. Then I was going there with a friend of mine, and then we got some problems. And this is life,
Mm-hmm.
And
it was just logistics, really. You couldn't get yourself around the place in order to train how you wanted to. So then, powerlifting, to come from something which is, hard cardio-focused sport like kickboxing, explosive, but you must have been a pretty well-rounded athlete. What the hell suddenly led you into powerlifting?
Yeah, because, when I stopped with kickboxing, I went to some gym, some fitness, At that time, there's some guy who was doing some kind of powerlifting. Everybody says, wow, he's very strong. He was something like pulling 250, 260 kilos at the deadlift, was 6, 7 years older than me. First time I was trying deadlift, first training was pulling more than 200 kg. So the guy never seen this. He said, wow, so you have to train with this. So I started to train powerlifting. Okay, the bench was not my style.
But just focusing on that, mate, deadlifting, okay? You said that the first time that you ever trained, you pulled 200 kilos in a deadlift.
Yeah, I was trying,
And how old were you?
At that time I was something like 18, and I was 73, 74 kilos.
Wow. That's mega.
I've got a very good back, my back strength was very good. I was very, I want to say I was way more strong in the pulling than in the pushing, For me, to bench, I've never been good at benching,
What was your best bench?
130.
Okay. But you're saying what, at 73 kilos?
Yeah, when I was starting, I was about 73 to 74 kilos.
That's 130 kilos at 73 kilos.
Yeah, but this was not the first time, after training, after 1 year and a half training, I was good.
Very, very strong.
I never been good at, at pushing movements. I'm way more naturally good at pulling movements, So this is the way why, the pulling, really.
Have you ever sort of measured the length of your arm span, your reach? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I understand what you mean, But now with the right one,
Yeah.
I can't do anything, anymore.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Mate, I did not know that at that age you'd pull 200 kilos at 70. That's incredible.
That was my first time I went there, and I was trying, then, with the bar, 60, then 80, 100, 120, I was trying, and then at 200, I stopped. First time I would try with, deadlift.
Didn't you go, I'm trying to sort of, a lot of years have passed, but weren't you in Houston, Texas at the Worlds?
90? Yeah, I was pulling with Patton.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I asked the question is I'm trying to recall the first time I spotted you, and I'm trying to think where it was. Now, in Houston, Texas, didn't you arm wrestle Leeson Thomas from the UK?
No, I think I pulled him in '89 at the European, at the Worlds, in Greece.
In Athens, yeah. That's where it was. It was Athens.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So that was the first time I ever saw you. And I think you lost that match, didn't you, to Leeson?
Probably. I took the 5th place.
I think you took foul in the first match, and then he got on your hand second match. But that was the first time that I ever recall seeing you. I think, I didn't really know you then, but I was at the table supporting Leeson in Athens. And I think that was the first time. I'm trying to think back, but I think that was the first time I recall seeing you. And then my next memories of you are in Houston in '91, where I distinctly remember thinking, you know how you do when you get to a competition and you look around and you think, oh, I've seen that guy before, and I remember thinking, oh, I've seen that dude before. And the other time that I recall seeing you, I think, you were at the Bercy Stadium in Paris, weren't you?
Where?
The Bercy Stadium in Paris. Didn't you go there?
In '91, we get the World in Tel Aviv.
Yeah. Cobra was there. Yeah. John was there. Goodridge was there. You were in that, weren't you? With Tony Duray.
Yeah, I don't think he was going there, this was, Tony Duray was 70 kilo.
Yes. And you didn't you have a red vest on?
I don't mind, 75 kilos. First time I think it was with Yeah, I think Andreas Rustom was really pulling that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think 91, yeah. The first time they did the, I have to say, the masterclass.
Wow.
It's because,
funny. That's shocking to me how long I've known you. You've been on the circuit. And people won't know this, but obviously at that time you were something of a Western standout. Before I got to that, anywhere near that level, you were one of the guys like Andreas. Andreas was another one who got to that level early. Magnus Samuelsson was another. There were a few guys, and it was only a few guys from the west of Europe who were performing well. Laurento Villar, it was before his time. The guy that was doing well then was Jaime. Was doing well.
You mean the Spanish guy?
Yes, yeah.
Jaime,
under 60 kilo, unbelievable.
Yeah, he was to get very strong hook.
Yes,
very
powerful in the hook. Now, Pascal, let's take we may jump around like this a few times, but I wanted to just check back in with you really to see. Obviously, you won your first national, or you won the Swiss nationals at the first attempt.
Yeah, it was national in 1988. The first time, it was my second competition. But at that time, the level was not at all like it is now.
Was there any technique or not?
No. I was starting, with hook because everybody was starting with hook, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the second Swiss national ever. So it was all the guys who won the first edition of nationals. 80% of them, they won the second one because they get more technique than the newcomer, So when I came there, I was pulling with a guy, and that time was 10 kilo class. So I was 74 kilo, but I was pulling in the 80 class. So the guy, he dragged me at 1 centimeter from the pad, and I stopped in the hook, and then finally beat him. That time was single elimination.
Yeah.
You couldn't have, a lot. So this was all how it started with wrestling. A good memory, when I think about this now, I'm smiling because when you see the liver now, it's something to compare.
Mm-hmm. But the fact you must also take a great deal of pride from the fact that you stayed in the sport and rode out the sport all through this period of evolution. Who were the guys that you sort of looked up to at that time? I'm assuming there was nobody in Switzerland that was established. Certainly not that I know of.
We have some good guys, but not very international. Because the problem in Switzerland first of all, don't have a sport, culture like Eastern countries. So it's very difficult even to have a little bit of support. I didn't believe that, the guy going to the Olympics, going to races, they have to pay everything from their pocket to go.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big deal, It's not doing football, skiing, or ice hockey. It's very difficult to have any support from anywhere.
Yeah.
So a lot of people start on wrestling, because at that time it was just pure strength, And most of people were starting before they got a bit more experience than the newcomers. So once you have to train seriously, grow up, most of people they just give up. So it was too difficult. Because I'm wrestling not just going on the table and then, pulling, it's way more than this. If you want to have a good level in wrestling, it's very, very, difficult and demanding as well. So a lot of people get too easy life, don't want to really work on anything. The problem we have there.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say obviously that there was no one there with any technique or had been established. Sort of piecing this thing together, it's probably fair to say, therefore, that you were and are the first established international star arm wrestler from Switzerland, excuse me, because you're the first guy that I am aware of who was sort of held as a bit of a flag, a bit of a signal flare for the Swiss team. When you go to events, And you had your own, like, aura, your whole look, you know. I mean, your hair's always been the signature, but back then, your hair, you look like the lead singer of friggin' Kiss. You know, your hair was like big, wasn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
it was a good
And the
time,
leather
you know.
waistcoat.
Yeah. I couldn't, you know, wear a helmet, you know, I only go to the motorbike, you know, I didn't put the helmet on, you know. This is the problem, you know.
But what was great about those times though, mate? When we'd go somewhere and you would have a number of guys from the Swiss team who had like adopted the Pascal look. You know, they
no, really. I don't remember.
Yeah. What about guys like Charlie? Charlie, your friend, who was a good puller. Good
Which
top.
Charlie?
Back in, I can't even remember his last name.
Yeah. He was not bad during the, middle 90s.
Really
yeah,
really good.
He was. Yeah, we used to have international tournament in Rapperswil. One day I was meeting, you know, with double biceps, you know. So he was a good guy. He was putting about 80 kilo twos. He did some.
And he was, but he modelled himself on you. You know.
Maybe, you know.
Well, definitely. Because the first couple of times I saw him, he wasn't there with a leather waistcoat. Then suddenly he show up in Belgium at the Rochefort tournament. And he's got the exact same leather waistcoat that you're wearing. And he looks he's clearly modelled himself on you. And then I go to other events there and suddenly there's other Swiss guys that are looking a bit more like Pascal, you know? And how did that make you feel at that time? Because you must have been aware of that. You must have been like, dude, you're swagger jacking the living, and nobody else ever looks like that. Who the hell looks like you? You don't go around. I mean, I've got a story for everybody, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna go a few years in front. Myself and Pascal are doing a bit of world traveling, and we are going to the Colour Line Open.
Oh yeah,
in Norway. Okay. Yeah. Now then, we start to go through, and I may have told this before on another show, but he's here now, so I'm going to relive it. We start to go through airport security, and your mate Jean-Pierre, I think he was called.
Yeah, Jean-Pierre Barbero.
Yeah, great bloke. Now, Jean-Pierre gets through, no problem, straight through airport security. I get through, my dad gets through. We look back, every airport we go, it's a usual theme for Pascal. Pascal is being stopped by airport security, and the girl or guy that's got him is just starting to pull on their rubber glove. Because Pascal is going to be searched. And Jean-Pierre spoke like zero English, but he turned around to me and just went, Pascal, always the terrorist. And you can see Pascal remonstrating up there. Dude, you had a very unique look back in the day. People didn't look like you, you know. So it must have made you feel like quite good about yourself when all of a sudden people start looking like Pascal. Everybody from Switzerland was so proud of you back then, you know. Were you aware of that? Did it do your confidence good, or did it put pressure on you?
Yeah, the thing, you know, I never did anything, whatever, to try to push people. You know, it's not about to have a look, you know, but how you feeling, you know. For me, it was more like, you know, I like my sport. I try to do as much as I can, and then I try to understand the sport. Because, you know, what is the problem now? That a lot of people don't understand the sport. So that time was very different because one more, the legal was not like it is now. So it was more difficult to get information. You know. Once you are on the top, you know, you will stay on the top way more longer than now. Because now it's more information, the tasks are more easier, you know. So a lot of people are just coming, you know, just around you and they try to chase you away from your first place. You know what I mean? So before it was more difficult to climb the stairs, but once you're on the top of the stairs, you could stay there a long time. Now it's very easy to climb the steps. It does mean that a lot of people just want to take your place. It's different stuff, you know. So what I want to say with this, that at that time the look was nothing. The first thing I ever remind when I went to the Europeans, 1995, in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I have, something like this on the head. That's very funny because I was something like 185, 190, and usually I'm 180. So what I was really, I still can remind it. I just arrived to the border, and then, in Russia, it's not like Europe, I've never seen somebody, with that look. So I give them my passport, and then the girl working there, she called all the colleagues to come to see me, I was feeling a bit, but finally it was very funny because, that time was, like, work, everything is down. So all that you don't have anymore anyway, the same thing to do, This was a good memory,
I've got another favourite Pascal Girard story, mate. We went. You remember
first time when I went there that I get, so many groupies, what I mean, so fans.
Hey, I don't know nothing about groupies, son. That was always you. They don't even like girls. To me, they're just soft men. But anyway, Pascal, get this for a story. We go to Sweden, 1994 World Championships, okay? And I'm stood there in the crowd and you're about to arm wrestle and you were having a great day. In fact, I want to say you maybe took third place there. I think it was Andrea won it. Then there was a Georgian kid and then you. Yeah. And you were pulling your balls off. You were doing really, really well. And I end up stood next to a BBC reporter who's come there and they're doing some focus on the British team. This actually happened. This is not a joke, right? This actually happened. And stood behind her is a guy with the boom mic, like a microphone on a stick.
Yeah.
And you walk past. And as you walk, you're not arm wrestling at this point, you just literally walk past us in the hall. And this guy stops the interview and goes, "Is that the guy from the Village People? Do you remember the band, the Village People?" And I said, that is what he said. Yeah, he literally said, "Is that the guy from the Village People?" I went, "No, dude, that is not the guy from the Village People." But
it was people asking more if I'm Peter Steele. I don't know if you know Peter Steele, was the singer of Type O Negative.
Yeah.
Or they asked me as well, you were performing Model Crew,
Mate, don't ever cut that hair. It's your look.
Yeah.
But you've toned it down a lot over the years, mate, but you can never let that go. You've become like an arm wrestling icon through your hair. That's a good thing. It's an eternal look. You've got to stick with it, mate. You've got to stick with it. So let's move back to sort of your development, your career trajectory, okay? Now, you said that when you started, you were hooking because nobody knew any better. Yet everybody knows that as your career developed, you became a masterful top roller. That was what you were good at. It's what you did best. Very solid pronation, very, very good top roller. Who were the guys that you first sort of looked up to, aspired to be like? Obviously, looking at your style, it's actually very similar in a lot of ways to Andreas Rundstrom. Was he a guy that you sort of, and Andreas was doing real good at that time, was he a guy that you looked at and sort of tried to emulate a little bit? Did you incorporate elements of his style into your own? Or was it other guys, Cobra Rhodes, Les Wims? Who were the guys that you looked up to?
At that time, Cobra was star, he was the man.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted, to understand what he was doing, to look at him and to try to do like he was doing. I remember back to 1989, after the rules, he was 75 kilos. And, he pulled with the world champion, don't remind his name, Greek one, Basilios,
I know you mean, yeah.
Yeah, he was something like 120 kilo, and actually he beat him, So what I want to say at that time, American, they have 20 years ahead from us.
Yes.
So they get way more, confident. They have way more, experience than Europeans. Then Andreas was pulling differently than I was pulling. because Honduras has very, very long leverage. Long
Yes.
forearm, big hand. My hand, small, So for me, it was more difficult to pull with Andreas, Andreas had a very, very good technique. What a bit like Sharon.
Yep.
Kind of,
Wrist was iron. Really iron.
Yeah, the wrist. And it was very, online. It was not very bending, It was not doing what we used to say, full hand top roll like Cobra is doing. It was more like rotation.
Yeah.
And then I went to this technique later because I understood a lot of things about it. The way of you work with your hand, because at that time we were not working our hand at all, So the lever was different, and when I started to work my hand, in 6 months, I saw incredible, I was going from 0 to 100 in 6 months, working with the hand. The hand was very, very important.
And what were you doing for your hand back then, mate? What was what training did you focus on?
I don't really train. Somebody focusing the biceps. You're training biceps, you do something like this. I never do something same for the hand. I can do, something like it. But most of the time, I'm not working on like this. I'm working more like, to say, focus about all the arm, the arm, the wrist, and the forearm, but in some way that I can use the palm, because I think the palm is very important in my wrist.
Yes.
A lot of people, they don't understand rotation. What does it mean? And hand control too. A lot of people, they think that hand control is just this. It's not just this. But the reason why wrestling is so strong because you can go anywhere. His hand is just massive.
Yep.
I think it's the key. If you want to be good at wrestling, your hand has to be good.
So how long was it before, obviously you said you were inspired by Cobra, by Andreas. How long did it take you to sort of develop your own signature style, or a signature style that you were comfortable with?
The problem, one more time, when I was starting on wrestling, I was trying to find first a table, then the table we found was not exactly the same dimension as the normal table. So I tried 1,000 different things. And finally, with who? I tried, John said, if you want to be a good Armwrestler, you got to Armwrestle. This is good, it's correct.
Yeah.
When he's pulling, when he has workout session, he's pulling with 60, 70 guys. When you are 2 or 3 guys pulling with you, and one is to tell you, today I'm not coming, I get pain in my arm, and the second one you pull with him, and after 2 minutes, I get pain in my elbow. So, it's difficult to try to improve movement, to understand what you have to do. So, my more experience I've got, especially in the competition, when you go to the rules, when you go to everywhere, and you try to, I'm not doing table time at all. I was pulling for 15 years without doing, because I don't have any partner.
Yeah, no sparring partners, nobody to train with.
So I'm not doing table time. Now I'm doing some time, but last year, for example, I did maybe 3 table time sessions. So what I was doing is trying, in the wrestling you have angles. So I try to mimic that angle into the gym.
So try to make the movement as near to arm wrestling as you can.
Exactly. I would never do bench press or biceps. I'm going to try to do a move that is very close to the move I'm using on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is very important. And then, the feeling of the table, you get it from the competition.
Did you make any, because back then there was no Mesorenka handles or anything like that. What did you do to sort of mimic that? Did you invent anything yourself? Did you make equipment yourself, or were you just using?
I did some equipment myself. I tried to understand what I have to focus on, So nothing very. I take from basic equipment, then I just, try to some angle that I can grip my hand on, my wrist or forearm or whatever, or even, side pressure. So just from basic, it's not like Mazurenko. Mazurenko is building some equipment, especially from wrestling. I didn't then get anything from this. I just take basic equipment and try to turn it into a way that I can, mimic the arm wrestling movement from the game.
Did you have your own arm wrestling table, Pascal, a specific table?
No, at that time, then when we got the menstruation table, we were building stuff. But this was, 30 years ago. Now, sure, now we have table, But I'm not a guy, for example, having the table close to, to the pulley and then to do something like this on the table. I never do it because it's not me, not what I like to do. I'm doing different things now.
And one thing I know from personal experience for the guys out there, if you ever get the opportunity to train with Pascal in a gym, which I've only done twice, but I can tell you this, you wouldn't believe the weights this dude lifts. I mean, he is really, really strong. I mean, one of the sort of misconceptions that I want to explode really early, people think that Pascal has not got a good hook. He hasn't got good arm strength. I've heard a lot of people say this. Oh, if you can stop him, you'll beat him. His arm is not strong. That is not true. Pascal is very, very, very strong inside as well. It's just that 99.9% of the time, Pascal is pursuing a top roll. So when you go to top roll and somebody puts you in a hook, your body is not shaped correctly to pull the hook. And that's happened to Pascal a lot. But if Pascal sets up to go into a hook and pull a hook, trust me, you'll know you're in a hook. That's strong.
You're exactly right. When I say that most of the time when into a hook, because I was starting with the doctor, so my angle is already like this, and the guy is like this. So very difficult, from that. But when I'm starting with hook, I'm feeling not bad at all. I can be very good in a hook too.
Yeah, very, very strong. Yeah. And I know that from experience. Trust me, a man can pull an hook like hell when he really wants to. If you train with him, you'd see the difference. But what I wanted to sort of come on to from that, Pascal, how much of your time in training was spent specifically focusing on because you say, the reason why I'm going this way is you say you were trying to make your movements in the gym as close to arm wrestling as possible, or your style of arm wrestling as possible. Did you become specific in the way that you trained? Were you trying to just focus on pronation, pulling, top roll movements, or were you working the game all round?
I never do anything as you are telling me now. I'm not proposing to do something like this. When I'm training, 100%. For example, last year, before to go to the Swiss Open, I was training very good, and I'm training 3 days a week, but 2 times a day. I'm training on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but in the morning and evening. Yeah, so I'm doing something like 4 or 6 times the same muscular group a week.
Wow.
And when I'm training very, very heavy. Then the problem that I've got I have problem with my arms for 2 years now, and it's recurrent, So I don't know what it's going to be, But what is very important, I think, is to understand what you have to do on the table. And first of all, you have to do some exercises that you like to do.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like to do something, you will do the minimum, You will do stuff, I don't like to do it, I'm not going to do it anymore, So if you like some movement, and then you're improving, and you want to be every time stronger, Okay, I'm pulling 100 kilo with it. I'll try to do 110, 120. This is what is saying you. But for this, you have to like the move you're doing, If you don't like the move you're doing, so if sometimes somebody say, you have to work this angle, and then it's giving you some exercises. You don't like this exercise, try to find out something to give you the same benefit, but the way you like to do it. This is important too.
What was your favorite exercise? What did you enjoy doing, or what were you predisposed to do most? What did you like best in the gym?
Well, the most thing I'm doing a lot of, butterfly, high pressure.
Wow.
I can pull very, very heavy in butterfly. Then I have a special move with, very Scott bench.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not very bicep. More like you are working your hand and wrist, but not on the usual way.
Okay.
Yeah. So these like the two other sides I can pull very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Then as well, like this,
Yep.
pull it.
Cable pulleys.
Yeah, with the fat grip. Very, very important too.
Mm-hmm.
This is very important. Yeah.
And when you're doing those pulls, are you wrapping your thumb, or are you unwrapping your thumb and cupping? What's your sort of preferred method of performing that exercise?
Well, I have a different handle grip. I have the normal fat grip like this. That I pull more, try to pull a bit more like this here.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have some handle that can put a finger inside, and you pull more with finger. So I'm doing one session with this, one session with this.
And you used to always talk to me about rock climbers and the benefits of it.
I've been doing some time, but I think this is the best thing ever if you want to work out your arm and fingers. But the things to do with this, is to use just your arms and not your legs, because rock climbing, most people are using the legs. Easier to work with the legs. So just climb just with the hands. Sometimes I do it, but I don't have time as well.
Did you used to go to sort of like bouldering walls, just indoor climbing walls, and do a bit of Magnus Mitboth stuff?
I do sometimes, there is many years before I was working out in a gym that I have, a climbing wall, so it was easier. Now I don't have this opportunity anymore, so I'm not really climbing, But this, for sure, is very helpful.
I can imagine it is, mate, without a shadow of a doubt. So when was your sort of first big win? I'm talking international win. When do you think you sort of arrived on the international circuit and people started to take notice?
My first big win, I think, really big. I think it was European 1992 in Spain. This was a big problem. At that time, president of the Spanish Federation, we have the championship in one day. So it was no juniors, master, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem that they were doing the poll, for category, and the president went away with the sheet. Then this was the day before. Doing the day before and the day of the competition, no way to find him back with the sheet. Nobody knows at all who was pulling in what class. So this I remember very well. We finished at 6 in the morning. Because it was a total mess. So we started, I was putting 25 kilo. First round, I pulled with a guy from Finland. I was training very hard, and I lost to this guy because he had a bad pressure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So
I was feeling terrible. I was feeling very, down. And finally, every time they called me, I didn't, I was not really focused. I didn't want to pull. I was very, Then I started to beat everybody. And then I beat Igor, Ameshkin.
Yeah. Igor Akmenshin. Yeah, my God.
Yeah, he was very strong.
Very strong.
And then, then after 4 or 5 rounds, the Georgian coach came and decided to the table, how come that he's not pulling? Oh, we forgot about him. So I was pulling 13 match because I have to re-pull so much that I haven't pulled. And then as I have one loss, I have to beat him twice. So the Georgian came to the competition, after 5 rounds. So it was fresh and was pulling over the 11 matches. So I beat him once, and the second time I have to beat him was to Tarek. So I lost to him. Yeah, this was, I think, one of the best competitions. I got my first big win. I should be European champion that time, but, this is the life,
Mm-hmm. But it's funny, you've always been there or thereabouts. you know. And I think there's a certain, for me, there's a real. If somebody was saying to me, what would be your proudest achievements in arm wrestling, you can say, okay, you've had world championships. Yeah, okay. You've had European championships. Yeah, okay. But if I was going to say what I would be most proud of was the fact that at the world and European championships, I was in the top 3 for a long period of time, every year. And that's much more, and that's something you can lay claim to. That you were always there or thereabouts. You were in the top 5 guys for 15 years, you know. You've been second in the world, what, about 5 times, 6 times? A lot of times.
But then as well, you know, I want to say as well what's going on, because we know what is the problem with the wrestling. We have 2 problems now. First problem, you know what it is. Sorry to say, but I could be at least 10 times world champion without this doping problem.
Yep.
And, anybody can say whatever they want, you know. Okay. W.A.F has been cast finally in 2013 because he was using a product that was not, you know, after 4 days you cannot check it, you know. So what could I do? Should I ask to say, test the sample from the previous year, and then there will be 5-star champion? I don't give a fuck about it. Sure. I lost that day, you know. Yep. You know, I'm very feeling, you know, very bad about this because I lost a competition with a big background. I know that I could win. You know.
Yes.
You know, I would very understand the things, you know, that some country like Turkey, like Georgia, you know, Kazakhstan get huge money with wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
In Switzerland, what I'm gonna load, you know, I'm gonna get a lot of views to be what? To be the king of a day, one day. I don't want to do this kind of thing. You know? So finally, I'm in the sport for 22 years. My health starts to be more and more bad. I mean, when I was younger, after 6 weeks, 7 weeks break, I get 1 month's training, and I will stop again. Now recuperation is more and more difficult. You know? The problem that I have few years to be good. For example, last year before the Worlds, I've been very, very good. Then, you know, I get a problem with my hand. So I went to the Worlds. So being trained normally, you know, so good. What I want to say, I don't have still 20 years to compete at a high level.
No.
So now or never. But, you know, I think that's changing. We'll see how it's going to be in the next few, next year and everything. So what I really am a bit feeling bad about, somewhere I've been stolen. But this, I think I'm not the only one guy.
No, you're not.
But anyway, you know, this is part of the life. So I'm not angry against anybody or against anything. This is just, you know, this is the society. This is what people want, asking. I can tell you something. If I would get 1 million of Swiss francs a year to the wrestling, I would do it too. You know, so I understand somewhere some people are doing it. So this is different.
Interesting. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at 48 minutes of this first sit-down chat with my mate Pascal Girard. This is just part 1. We're going to come back and do many more. This guy's got a lot to say. He's got a lot to say in about 6 languages. For those of you who don't know, Pascal, How many languages do you speak, Pascal?
Well, I can speak really fluently 3, 4. You know, I'm learning now some of the languages too. You know.
So you can speak fluently 4 languages. Holy Christ.
I can speak French, my maternal language, you know, English, like French, you know, Italian, German, not as good as French and English, you know, but still I can speak well, you know. Then I can speak a bit of, you know, Slavic languages. But I'm into learning now some languages, so it will take a bit of time, you know.
I've got a little bit of linguistic skills myself, not in your level. Are you ready? I'm going to throw this one down on your old ass.
Yeah. Rory Rechtle, yeah. This is too German, yeah. Good board, yeah. Good board is too German, yeah.
Listen, mate, I know you've got to head off. I know you've got business coming in there, clients coming in for tattoos and stuff, but we want to get Pascal back on here very soon. So please, guys, put your questions for the master in the comments below. We'll be back on here in a few days with Pascal for part number 2 and 3 and more. Guys, Pascal, firstly, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out, mate. I know you're a busy man there, and I really appreciate you coming on. I think your hair looks magnificent, and I look forward to sitting down again another time. Ladies and gents, for those of you out there, if this is your first visit to Supernatural Strength channel, please like, share, subscribe. Go see Pascal and get it tattooed on your ass. Crazy times out there, ladies and gents. Keep you and your family safe, and we look forward to seeing you next time back on here with the Master. Until that time, take it easy, peeps.